All right. Hey, folks. Welcome to the July 9th, 2024 Kubernetes SIG Docs meeting. This is our biweekly Zoom meeting that we have. I'm your host for today. My name is Ray Alejano. I'm one of the co-chairs along with Natalie Blacko, who's also on the call here, and our third co-chair, Divya. It is not a great time in our Divya's time zone. So also, a few housekeeping items. This meeting abides by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which boils down to be kind to each other. As you can see, we have captioning turned on. For anyone that might find captions helpful, we do have that on. Also, this meeting is recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So, and if you don't want to share your video share, please turn it off. All right, I'm going to run through the agenda items as well. But before we do that, I want to welcome any new contributors. So if this is your first time on the call, if it's been some time you've been on the call, please feel free to come off mute and introduce yourself. All right. So as I think you have noticed, I do recognize all the names here. I do want to welcome everyone. So thank you very much for coming to the meeting. I'll go right into the updates and reminders. This week's PR Wrangler is Nate, who's on the call. So if you have and with Naranjan, who is shadowing Nate. So if you have any PRs that you want to be reviewed, Nate is this week's PR Wrangler. Also, Naranjan's also shadowing as well. So Naranjan can also help with reviews. Next week's PR Wrangler is Chiming, and the following week's PR Wrangler is Xander. And there's a link to the agenda for any approvers who are on the PR Wrangler rotation. So please take a look. Also, we have an issue wrangler role as well. And so this week's issue wrangler is Natalie, who's on the call. And next week's issue wrangler is Depeche. I think Depeche is also on call. Maybe I'm mistaken. Yes, he is. So Depeche is next week's issue wrangler, and there's also a link to the agenda for the issue wrangler rotation as well. The last update reminder, if you notice any code of conduct violations at any events or meetings, GitHub comments, Slack, please reach out to the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, and you can do so anonymously as well. And there's an email at conduct at kubernetes.io. There's also a link to more about the Kubernetes Code of Conduct committee. All right, so that's it for your updates reminders. Go right into the agenda. We usually start off with the release cycle with the various release teams that are associated with Docs. So the first one is the Docs team. So want to invite Docs release team Docs member to come off mute and to give us an update.
Hi everyone, Princess here, Docs lead for 1.31. So the updates on Docs from the last meeting that we had is that all PRs were eventually raised. 4 of the enhancements were unable to meet the deadline, but I think 1 or 2 days after the deadline, we had those PRs up. So as for metrics, right now we have 27 draft PRs and 9 have already been merged and 14 are ready for review. So the reason our status is yellow is that we've reached out to all the KEP owners. However, we still have a large number of PRs that are still in the draft status. So hopefully all those PRs are ready for review before the next deadline, which is next week, 16th July. Yeah. So that's the update from Docs. And we also have the brand sync PR up, but it's not been merged yet.
I could take a look at that PR. Do you need any help with reaching out to KEP owners, or have you brought this up to the release team and have the release lead offered release leads or release lead shadows offered any help to reach out to the KEP owners who have not finished their draft PRs yet? I know the due date's next week though. Okay.
Yes, we've reached out to all of them, but we haven't exactly gotten good responses from the CAP owners, but I think it's actually normal.
Yeah.
Maybe PR starts coming in maybe 2 days before the deadline or a day before the deadline. So
Yeah,
fingers
this is
crossed.
normal. It's stressful. I know it's so stressful, but it is unfortunately normal. So you're in good shape right now.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's totally normal. You might even have we don't want to, but you might even have a PR that does not have their PR interview on the final dates, but it's that's normal, but we do not prefer that, of course. All right, thank you for the update. Any comments or questions for the release team docs team?
Just see that there's something in the chat there from Shannon. Does anyone for the ready to review PRs, Princess, do you need any extra help? Is the question there.
I think for the PRs that are ready for review, I think Tim has already started reviewing them, like a bunch of them. So I think we need help, but it's not much of a priority right now.
Okay. I would say that it's great that Tim has started reviewing, but let's make sure you can definitely tag multiple of us approvers and reviewers in the channel, not just on the one person as well. So yeah, definitely utilize a bunch of us and just jump into SIG docs and yell and scream as you need. We are here.
Sure. Thanks for offering. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Next up is the comms team from the release team. If anyone from the comms team would like to come off mute and provide us an update, that would be great.
Hello, it's Matteo from the release team on comms. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, so my webcam is off because my connection is not the best now. So our current status is yellow, a little bit like the docs. We are reaching out to various SIGs and CAP owners, especially for the deprecation and removals blog. We have a PR open. Now we just need the review from the SIGs involved, and then that's good to go. The content is there. For measured teams, we basically have only one for now that opted in by replying to the discussion. Most probably we won't have more than that. Maybe we don't have any measured team now, which is also fine. We're monitoring the current blogs for the different caps. So we have 22 now, and we have a comms editor. So it either us or us shadows or Abby, which is the lead for comms. And we expect to get these again 2 days before the deadline, even like just on the deadline probably, and so we can review them. That's about it. Thanks a lot.
Oh. Thanks. I know with my ex-release lead hat on, it could also be, if it's light for major themes and for folks who have opted in, I could also take a look to see if the any enhancements are going to GA and reach out to those enhancements reach out to those SIGs as well if they would consider it to be a major theme.
Yeah, the only one that I saw is probably the customize thing that's like going out of kubectl. That would be something, but we are not sure it's going to happen yet. So we're monitoring that as well.
Yeah, that would be gone.
You also don't have to call that section of the blog major themes. Like the concept of major themes is an artifact of the way the release worked years ago before we had release notes. So like it's kind of archaic. It doesn't really mean anything. So you don't have to call it major themes. It's sort of just looking for SIGs to opt in KEPs that they feel are impactful enough to deserve highlighting in the release blog. And eventually we'll probably do away with that terminology entirely because it's confusing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, makes sense. Actually, it is a bit confusing for me. Like I couldn't understand what a major theme was regarding to cats.
Yeah.
They seem to be the same thing. So, okay, cool.
Pretty much.
Oh, thank you. Any further comments or questions for the comms team? All right. I do want to highlight, as you mentioned, there's 22 blog posts, so that's quite a bit. There's quite a good number. So we'll look forward to that. All right, going on to issues and PRs. Nate, you have a good one with the page find search.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, just following up, there's been some reports on the updated search in China using page find. It seems like so the idea was to only serve the page find stuff to folks in China, and the code that is determining whether or not someone is in China is capturing more than just folks in China. To a degree that is actually kind of a little bit surprising to us. So we are looking into it. It's looking like just at first blush, it could be an ad block issue where what we're doing is we're trying to figure out the location of the user using ipinfo.io service. And if that is blocked, then we default to the person being in China. We're looking into it. I don't know exactly what the issue is. Rather, I don't know what the solution is just yet. But if anyone on the call or watching later is expert in localization and determining where folks are in the world, would be happy for some guidance on that. But we are taking a look into it. So at this point, it's not a great update, but it's where we're at.
If I see if we have a lot of folks being impacted who are running ad blockers, which I could see a lot of folks using ad blockers, can we change the default so that they're not in China?
That's something that we're looking into. Again, I'm not sure why the ad blockers are blocking it, and Chris Abraham was suggesting maybe we can use a proxy there so that IP info isn't being flagged and blocked. But again, if people are blocking their location in their browser, which ad blockers often do, then I'm not sure what the default behavior should be. And that actually might be a worthwhile discussion as well.
I tend to block my location, my browser. So
yeah, so I'm using uBlock Origin, and I get this exact same behavior.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, I was about to say that's going to be something that isn't. That's an expected behavior that it blocks location, because ads are definitely served based on location in a lot of different places, right? So I think that's something that we have to think about in terms of how we're going to look at the search. My favorite thing about this issue, it's great that this was reported, because this was information that was actually went on Reddit first, by the way. So it's great that someone came to the Kubernetes documentation and actually like filed the issue. And my favorite thing about this is that they call the search borderline unusable, which we do love the exaggeration, but at least they reported it in the first place. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've also, just as an aside, have let the folks who do certifications know that this is an issue that has come up. So I'm hoping that they're able to take some action so that, or at least tell folks if they're taking the exam and are using the search function to turn off the ad blocking potentially. For that use case. I don't know exactly what the knock-on effects are just yet, but we're looking at it.
I want to double check as a question, just for yourselves internally and CNCF to think about, at what point does solutioning need to then be a revert until we fix it? I just wanted to just figure out on your end, like what's the rationale for doing a revert versus trying to fix something in terms of just what is seemingly what is seemingly going to be something that a user behavior that we can't really affect, which is the use of ad blockers.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to revert back to Bing. It was costing thousands of dollars a month. I think I was told something like, maybe don't quote me on this, it's like $100 a day. So I'm not sure that we're going to be able to revert back to that as a solution. So we will either need to figure out another solution, potentially Algolia or something else, or get PageFind working in a manner that is appropriate. So I think that it's not that PageFind isn't working; it is that the way that we are finding who is in what place is not working as intended.
Understood.
The other alternative is to tune PageFind so that it is working better. And this is sort of a thing where this is a brand new search, and as we use it, we're going to understand it more, and we will be able to sort of make it better for folks. And in making it better for folks, if they are accidentally served PageFind, it won't be as large an issue. So again, I think that there's going to be a combination of tuning and figuring out how to better understand where folks are, and failing that, potentially exploring some of the other alternatives that we had flagged.
Okay.
I have a concern there, though. The other alternatives are time consuming and expensive in terms of like hours spent working on it to implement. And just as it exists, PageFind is, I would say that completely unusable is hyperbole, but it is bad, right? So for how long are we willing to significantly degrade the experience for our users before the CNCF is willing to pay for us to just go back to using Bing for 3 months while we implement one of the other alternatives? Because this is pretty like a significant degradation in functionality of the documentation, and the docs are kind of big, and we have a lot of users.
I agree, and we are working on it. So I mean, we actually have like folks assigned to this problem. So this is not something that we haven't just and walked away, right?
I mean, I understand, but like, where is the line where the CNCF is like, okay, this is like a significant enough degradation for long enough that we can cover your Bing bill for 3 months?
So let me say at this point, I don't know, but let me say,
Okay.
let me take that back to the team. Let me find
Thank
out.
you.
But I think that we also need to know how many people are actually being affected. Potentially, we look into the analytics and find out, okay, is it really like is it a third of our visitors? Is it 25th? Like, I don't know exactly the scope of the problem yet. But regardless, I think that at this point, I don't see the solution being going back to Bing. I'd be surprised if that were approved. But let me, like I said, go back to the team, find out.
Okay.
And in the meantime, we are looking at it. We are working on it. And like I said, with PageFind, it's a new way to search. So I think that there is improvements to that search that can be done. We do use it in other sites, and it does work well on other sites. So I think that there is some tuning that can be done as well, which I think for our users in China, something we should be doing anyway.
Nate, I would ask also, just like with before when we were tracking just the work on this, that we also kind of I guess in this issue, because this is where the conversation is, if we could track some of that or all of that work as well, and those conversations kind of coming in and out, that would be great. And it might be worthwhile as well, this being like quite a far-reaching kind of issue in terms of who it's affecting. If we could get updates in the meetings when you're able to be here as well, or even when you're not, if you want to just pop them in the actual agenda so that we can find out who, that would be really great.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks. I also, as a side note too, I also tried to assign Chris Abrams also as part of the yourself and him as part of the people who were like assigned to fixing this, but he's not a member of the Kubernetes org, so he couldn't be assigned and thus get pings.
I did notice that. Yeah, no,
yeah,
he is, and he actually saw and responded to that even before I saw that issue this morning. So he's, yeah. So we're yeah.
Cool. No worries. Just so that you know why it's only you assigned, and great. Okay, awesome. Thanks. Thanks. I do want to say that when you're saying that you don't think the solution is going back to Bing, I also want to counter that on the user perspective, that the solution is, I don't think the solution is us telling people to stop using ad blockers either.
Oh, no, and I didn't mean to imply that would be the solution.
Okay.
That is the cause of, rather, that is very likely the cause of what's going on.
Right.
And what I'm saying is we need to find a better way of finding out if somebody is in China by default and work that way. And if somebody is actively trying to appear not to be in China, I think that also needs to be somewhat respected. So it's one of those things where it's something we have to figure out.
Yeah, totally. I don't want to sorry, I want to make sure that Matteo's question in the chat too can kind of get looked at as well, with where you said Matteo's got a newbie question, can we check the language instead of location that they're using the docs in?
That's an interesting idea too, actually. Maybe some combination of that, because we would know the language just through the Hugo, what sites or what pages are being served. If you then click on search from one of those pages, that might actually be an interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matteo's question is browser language, but I wonder if there's that as a possibility, but there's also the scope of the actual languages we offer the docs in.
Yeah.
In terms of the results that would be returned to them. So yeah, possibility there.
Also, I have a question on tuning wise. So I've actually had history in tuning Solar, which is the Apache's project for searches. Could we also do the other projects that use PageFind? Do they could we see what's in their tuning? Because I believe, because I'm just looking at the default rankings, like the body content is ranked like the lowest, of course. So I wonder if how they would rank. They just are rankings in terms of the elements and body and the other headers. So if we could, I don't know if that's available to see. I'm sure it's available to see since it's all open source, and we could take a look there. Repos.
There should be. I know that a couple of the CNCF tag sites are using PageFind, so we can. I'd be happy to share some of that code.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already open, but that's some of the places that were being used. Where it's being used. Not where it's being used.
All right, cool. All right. Any other comments or questions on PageFind and search?
Just a small thing, Nate. I also added a proposal for another library that I know and that I used in the past. It has been very performant on search. It's called Orama Search, and you can find the details on the issue directly.
Thank you for that. I see the comment there. I mean, having just pulled out Bing and inserted,
Yeah,
I'd like to suggest that we work with it for a while.
yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, like ditching it all together, just for thing. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think it's a major change, and so I'm actually not surprised that there are some issues popping up here. I'd like to work through some of those issues before we decide to yank PageFind.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I appreciate all the suggestions are helpful, and yeah.
Yeah, of course. I said that in a software engineering perspective because I did already some search tuning in the past with Algolia versus other libraries. So it's like, yeah, I understand the pain.
Oh, awesome. Well, I especially appreciate your advice then.
Thanks.
All right. Any other comments or questions about PageFind? I'm scrolling down to the right, that's the end of our agenda. So, do you want to open up for any additional topics that folks want to bring up?
Nothing additional, but I would say, Nate, it would be cool maybe like by the next meeting if we have an update from CNCF on like a timeline for this. Because the other thing I want to bring up on the search aspect is in coordination with a release, if this isn't going well, that's also very much sucks. Yeah.
Like I said, we are actively working on it, and I'll see. I'll reach out to the team. I'll figure out what the plan is here, and I will definitely report back.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording for now.